Hey, the first thing the pastors Google, one of the number one things they Google for sermon illustrations is sermon illustrations on faith. So when I say on my sermon illustrator, which is my custom GPT I created to help me do this, it'll say, what do you want to do? And I'll say, I want to preach on faith. All right. So it says, faith is a rich topic. What do you want? What's the subtitle that you want? I'm going to just I'm going to just go ahead and go with faith that moves mountains, like miraculous or bold faith, at least for this one. So I'm just going to say 4. Now, there's like 10 different possibilities because this thing is designed by me to dial into exactly what you're trying to illustrate. But once I put that in, it starts doing an output. It gives me 34 illustrations across 17 different types, just quick brainstorming of ideas. Historical stories, George Müller. Yep. I mean, you're definitely going to have that one with faith, right? Harriet Tubman with using her faith, trusting God's guidance. All right. Examples from science, the Wright brothers. They kept experimenting. Okay, no backing or whatever. Nikola Tesla, alternating current vision. All right, that's interesting. I've never thought of that one before. Social sciences, the placebo effect. Belief can produce measurable healing. Okay, that's interesting. It would be an interesting thing to see what it would say on that. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset. Handel's Messiah in 24 days. He was convinced he was moved by God's Spirit. Vincent van Gogh painted almost sacred intensity. All right. Um, in The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, okay, the story, the book and the movie, he builds a windmill to save his village from famine. Really fascinating story. That's a neat one that would be usable. So, in Contact, all right, I don't know that movie, but you can ask it more details about it. Metaphors, faith as a bridge, faith like planting a seed. Poetry or quotes, faith like taking the first step when you don't see the whole staircase. All right, Emily Dickinson, a little quote from her. First century Roman or Greek culture. Roman religion focused on visible and controllable rituals. And Greeks admired Stoic self-sufficiency, but Christian faith insisted on dependence on God. Okay, early Christians risking death, early missionaries like Paul traveling without guarantees of success or safety. Biblical parallels: Peter walking on water, Joshua in the walls of Jericho. So current events: missionary pilot in Indonesia. That would be an interesting thing to ask it what story to tell you that story. Medical missions in Sudan, remaining there during the Civil War. Jewish parable. A farmer prays for rain and prepares his field. That's interesting. Folktale: the bamboo tree requires 5 years of watering before sprouting. Okay, that's like faith. Okay, in Maasai culture, warriors. This is about other world cultures. Maasai culture, warriors sometimes go into dangerous territory. Korean Christians during persecution. Okay, Washington crossing the Delaware, bold move on Christmas night. U.S. history. Lewis and Clark expedition. That's interesting. Okay, so let's see what sports stories. Nick Foles won Super Bowl 52 after trusting God through career failures. Eric Liddell refused to race on Sunday. Those are sports stories. Under inspiring or forgotten people, we have Gladys Aylward, British maid. I know the name, but I'm not familiar with the story very well, except for the orphan rescue. That would be an interesting one. I think I'll grab this right here, and I'll show you how you can continue to do outputs. All right. Then another Nigerian pastor and a couple of court case possibilities. So let's take this right here, and let's say that one. And I'll say this one. Notice how simple this is to use. You don't have to be a ninja because I've already programmed this thing to do exactly what I said. So it looks around, it finds sources for the story of Gladys Aylward, and looks up and talks about her beginnings. Here's links to Wikipedia, so you find some of those things. The Inn of Eight Happinesses, rescuing orphans, lasting legacy. Okay, so here's what I can do. I can say, craft a narrative version you paste directly into your sermon manuscript. And so I say, let's do this. And it says, here's a narrative conversational. Let me tell you a story about a woman whose faith truly moved mountains. Gladys Aylward wasn't wealthy. She wasn't highly educated. In fact, she was a London housemaid who dreamed of being a missionary in China. So it spits this out, how God called her to a remote village. She cared for orphans. And so you get the idea. once it goes through this process, this is incredibly fast. You can have 30 illustration ideas in 30 seconds, and all of them about the topic of faith that moves mountains. Now, I'm going to do one more thing. It says, would you like me to create a PowerPoint or keynote slide? And I say, yes. All right. I'm going to pause the recording until until it's done, and then I'll resume so you can see it. Okay, so here's the image it created. Here's the courageous journey through the mountains, trying to rescue these orphans. So very cool. You could edit this image and say add even more orphans behind her, right? Because it's a thing. So I teach you how to do all of this stuff in my two resources called How Pastors Can Use AI for Sermon Prep and the AI Church Work Prompt Vault. I teach you how to do that. There's a link in the video description, and you're here on a page. If you're on my blog, there's a link in the video description, and also on my blog, you're actually on a page where you can get every one of those illustrations I just shared with you that ChatGPT brainstormed really fast. I created this because I'm a full-time pastor. I care about preaching and teaching, and I want AI's help quickly brainstorming things that help my people understand and create 30 sermon illustrations on faith in 30 seconds. So that's what that's for. I hope you can join me in using it. The tool is free. I've got a course that literally shows you exactly how to get the most out of it, and it can save you hours in sermon prep time every week. So thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you around in the course. Thanks a lot.